Hi, welcome to Next in the Queue. I'm joined with Chris Emond. Um, and yeah, glad to have you on the podcast.
Thank you. Glad to be here, Topher.
Okay, you're from San Jose. How did you first get into music?
My dad was always very supportive of us listening to like new music in the house. So I was always kind of into listening to music and like critiquing it with him. Like he would give me a quarter anytime that like the radio was playing, and it's like if I could name the song, he would give me a quarter. And then like yeah, I was just in piano lessons and guitar lessons since I was a little kid, and then I think at some point I just like found like the internet music, and then I realized that I could release music online. But I was always making music from like pretty young age. Um, in yeah, in San Jose. And I got into like the live like the band scene in my teens.
What bands do you think were around when you were in your teens and like that kind of scene?
Um, it was honestly a lot of it around the Cautious was like my friend Ritwick and Max and a few other guys. And then um yeah, just a few more of my friends from that era. But yeah, I also felt like as much as there was like a band scene, there wasn't like that much going on. Like there'd be a show every now and again. So I always felt like I wanted to I wanted to make more happen.
Mhm.
Uh, and then after I moved like from San Jose, I ended up running into a ton of people like in like LA or New York that are like from the Bay, and like Field Medic I didn't know was from San Jose and plays like a ton of venue like Art Boutique, which is right next to my house, and like um yeah, it's just like I don't know why it's hard for me off the top of my head to name these bands right now, but like definitely a lot of cool bands from San Jose.
Yeah, do you think like not the lack of, but like not having like as many bands around, but inspired you to start the label Orange Label Records?
Yeah, totally. I feel like that was like the main impetus behind it. I mean, I've said that in the past where I like kind of shit on San Jose a little bit for that, but like I don't think that's true. Like I think there was always like people trying to do something. I just felt like myself, whatever was going on, I felt a little ostracized from it, or like not like it wasn't exactly the style of music that I wanted to make or be involved with. And then also when I like inserted myself into those scenes, like I felt like I just didn't like fit into it. So I was like, okay, well, whatever's going on here, like it doesn't feel good. So like I might as well try and make something that's like more in tune with the type of music that I wanted to listen to and make, and like right, you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was entirely why I did OL. I mean, Orange Label honestly was a way for like I think I was like 18 or 19, and I was trying to get booked places, and I felt like if I reached out by myself, I would not get booked. And then but it turned out that every time I just put like I got an email that was like Orange Label at OL Records, and like said I signed it like this fake A&R at the label trying to sign Chris Emond for uh for booking. So his name was Jimmer. It was like, hey, we've got our hot new artist, blah blah blah, Chris Emond to book for etc. date, and then signed Jimmer, and it worked. So
Yeah, fake it till you make it. I feel like a lot of venues do that too. Like they like prefer people that have like management and things like that. And it's like, why?
yeah, it literally does not matter, but and at the time it was like it made the most sense.
You've said like with Orange Label, you want to like start things in San Jose, like maybe a festival, a clothing store, and a venue? Do you still envision that for the label?
Yeah, totally. I think the last few years have been pretty like I've always been really driven. Whoa. I think when I was younger, I had a lot of like aspirations for what I wanted to do. And it was kind of one of those things where you're like so clouded by the idea that there's like so much out there. So I was just always trying to do everything and telling everyone how much I had all these like grandiose ambitions and stuff. And I think like as I've gotten a little bit older, like it's been like this is probably year 4 of OL now. Um, but I was like doing college and then like I just graduated last year. So I feel like now I'm beginning to realize like you have to work within the framework of like life,
Hmm.
you know, and like I really want to do uh bigger stuff in San Jose. Like, yeah, doing a large scale music festival would be so sick. And I think like there's a lot of actual potential to do that in San Jose. Um, because of a lot of like it's just like central to a lot of places. And again, there's like actually randomly like a huge base of people who are cool musicians who are from there. And um yeah. But like also I just need to progress in my life first to the point where I have like more life experience and abilities to be able to do that. And
Yeah.
like part of that is also like putting out um just a bunch more music, you know, and like waiting until the time feels right rather than just trying to be like when I was younger, just being like, okay, if I don't do this within the next year, then I'm a failure. You know, it's like I'm not gonna put on a huge music festival in like a year. It's like, but 5 years, 4 years, sure.
Yeah, I feel like when you're younger, you don't realize like a lot of things take time. Like, and like there's like a lot of like things behind the scenes that you have to consider when you're creating things like that. It's like there needs to be permits. You need to like find a location. You need to do all this other things. And like that doesn't take just like 1 year, sponsors to help with like paying artists and things like that. Yeah, I feel like as a kid too, I was like, this is what I want to do, and like this will happen in this year. But it's like you don't have to put a timestamp on like how far, like on like how far you've come, like it'll happen when it needs to happen.
Yeah, totally. And also like you gotta uh pay to live, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
So like I'm like on full-time job mode right now, so that's like, oh my God, how much time is devoted to that rather than like being able to focus entirely on music, you know, which is difficult.
Yeah, I feel like when I had a full-time job, it was like hard for me to focus on this because it's like even though it's like something you want to do, it still feels like a job. So it's like after I get off like a 9 to 5, then coming home and like being like, oh, now I have to work on this. And it's just like
Yeah,
getting burnt
it's
out.
so difficult and it's also so like it sounds so like old person.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, I can't believe that's what's going on. Like I would never have penned myself for like that. Like I honestly thought it was always just gonna be I was gonna turn 21, my music was gonna pop and I would be fine, you know, and like I never would have to do the grueling grind, but it's just like not panned out that way. I mean, that could shift at any point, but like right now, not the case.
Yeah. And it's just like the way the music industry is right now. It's like even if you do pop off, it's like not sustainable almost all the time unless you're like super viral, unless you're like let me think of people right now, like an Olivia Rodrigo, or like right now, like Chappell Rowan is blowing up. I feel like something's gonna happen there. Like I was just reading about her and how like in like literally her whole career got halted because like of the pandemic and like she got dropped by her label in 2021 because of the pandemic because she had like released two songs, but now
Now huge.
popping off.
I know.
I
They're
feel like
so
that happens to so many people. That happened to Ray too. Like she was stuck in like limbo at her record label. And then she finally got to be independent and like she's really big now, selling out
I mean
stadiums.
the label world like is so crazy right now and so terrible.
Yeah.
Like I've been through like obviously I've been independent my whole music career, but like I've worked with artists who've been signed to like majors or like smaller indies, mid indies. I feel like everything is just so much like what are you actually like what's the value add? You know,
Mhm.
like are you actually doing anything? I feel like everything in the label world is like if someone cares about you and is really good at their job, it's like such a people thing. You know,
Mhm.
it's not like the name of the label doesn't really matter anymore. Like I feel like if you have like a really someone who's really devoted to you at whatever label, it's like that's the main thing that matters. And it's like someone who
Mhm.
can actually do work for you well.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like maybe at some majors, it's not really about like cultivating the artist. It's like, what can you do for us? And like, I feel like a lot of artists these days have to like market, like have to do their own marketing, which is
Yeah.
insane too.
Yeah. It's like at some point, if, yeah, I could go on all day about that, but we probably shouldn't talk about that because I'm gonna fucking name drop someone I don't want to name drop.
Um, do you think owning a label and helping with management helps with your creation process?
Yeah, totally. I went through a really weird like period of time, like identity crisis thing, because I'm not like a suit, you know? So and I feel like when you take on that title, helping other people and musicians and stuff, it's like that doing that all day and then trying to make music also, it became like I don't know if that is really my role. Like I didn't want to do so I had a period of time where I just like stepped back from all that and like had the other people who I had started working with at the label like take on the more forward facing stuff and then I just like focused on creative direction and all that. Which is actually like still kind of what I'm doing now. Like I'll just do all the back end of things and then uh in the setup and like strat and then just let like other people be forward facing with it. But like I think honestly, I'm not gonna start up like we're not we have releases coming out and things, but I'm not going like insanely hard with it right now. I want to wait until I I'm like 100% sure that or not 100% sure. What's the word for it? It's like I want to be comfortable in my own career first
Hmm.
before I go on and be able to say to some artist like, "Hey, I'd love to like take over all quote unquote business stuff for you on the label side." Like I don't think I have that capacity right now. Just
Hmm.
like both mentally and actually time wise.
Yeah.
But I really do have like really cool ideas for what I would do uh if I was to put full effort towards a label. But right now I think I also have a lot of really cool ideas about what I want to do with my own music and I think that those are a little bit of like competing ideas in my mind. So I need to wait until I don't know, just things like I just have more time under my belt. I feel like that's kind of a theme right now in what I'm telling you, but I just need to like live a little bit more before I can actually go insanely hard on the label.
Yeah.
You
And then you recently released an EP called Oh Yeah, Dance Boogeyman. How long did it take you to create that EP?
Oh man, like couple years. Yeah. I think it was like, well, I also just put out like a compilation tape like a few days ago
Hmm.
that was from like 2019 to 2023 of just like all the songs that didn't make that. So I think like I knew I wanted to do a 6 song EP the whole time,
Hmm.
but I think along the way of making that, like I made like 5 6 song EPs, you know?
Yeah.
And I just like was so caught in the idea of like I was scared to put something out because it's just like reintroducing yourself to the world, and I wanted to make sure it was perfect. So a lot of stuff got a lot of versions were had.
Yeah, like you also, I mean, you have counting Western preference and then you've like also like added them to the EP.
Hmm. Wait. Oh, yeah, that's what's fucked. Is it's
Oh.
so confusing
Hmm.
because like Spotify, I tried to fix that. Like it says it's
Uh,
an EP counting Western
but it's like
preference.
just the singles.
I just waterfalled 4 singles and it made the fourth single look like an EP, which
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, I know that's confusing, but like yeah, there's only one EP out. And then
Okay, okay.
yeah, so I might even delete that last single just so that like because it's already on the EP. So
Hmm. And then like what made you decide to like release the demos that from 2019 to 2023?
I felt like there wasn't any real reason why they shouldn't be out. Like they're done, and I like them all arguably more than the songs that are on the project. And also a lot of the artists that I look up to have a lot of music out, and I think I was like fooling myself into thinking that just getting really polished with music was like the right direction to go. I think like it's a lot more indicative of like being a talented artist if you can just show someone what your output is,
Hmm.
and like not have it necessarily be like the most clean thing ever, but like you just show that you make a lot of music. I don't know, prolific people. Like I'm a really big fan of people who are like prolific.
You have any examples?
One of the biggest albums for me growing up was Bait Ones, the Jai Paul leak.
Mhm.
That was big. Like what else? Sam Ray, who is like all the monikers like Ricky Eat Acid and Starry Cat and like Teen Suicide. Like he has so many different side projects and like he releases so much music all the time.
Hmm.
Like Fortet puts out a lot of music. AG Cook, 7G, and there's probably more that I'm forgetting.
Yeah. But do you think like, because I feel like I've seen like a lot of artists these days like have different monikers for like they feel like the music that they're putting out doesn't match what they've put out under one moniker, so they start something else. Like, I have an example, but I'm thinking about it. Oh yeah, Sign Crush's Motorist has like 8 different like side projects
Mhm.
that I'm just like that's crazy that they have like birthday, take care, and then like other side projects, but they said that they feel like they don't match under one name, so they've created different ones. Do you think you'd ever do that?
Yeah, I was gonna say them, but I haven't really listened to Sign Chris Motorist enough. Uh, but they're so Sam Ray pilled. Like, if you don't, if you haven't checked out all those Sam Ray projects, like, definitely do it.
Yeah, I need to.
I feel like they just listen to all those different ones and like my best friend Garrett, like he has a couple projects and he always is thinking about starting a new one and like it went pretty successful for him, but I also feel like for myself, like I think I came to a crux where I was making a lot of like toy-like electronic music and also wanting to make like guitar music. Like once I found like that what my sound was, quote unquote, you know, like after in the process of making the EP, I just ended up with like all these different avenues of stuff. And like it was like, okay, am I gonna put out like shit under different titles? Like I had this band name called Sloth Girl, which was so dumb, but like I had a whole album done under that name, and I was like, okay, I'll drop the electronic music here, and then I'll drop my guitar songs on an EP. And like I think at the end of that process, I kind of like thought that it might be cooler to just have it all live under my name, like, just like no one really cares, like I don't think anyone really is putting that much thought into uh when they find your name and like listen to you. It's like you have complete control over what music you make. And like I don't think all the different types of music I make aren't like, I think it's almost cooler if you have like there's a song called She Throws Shapes that's on the Mismatches tape, which is like just like a dance music song.
Hmm.
It's like ambient house. It's like, and I feel like that sitting along something that like counting Western preference, like more like folk rock, big produced out folk rock, it just like adds complexity to it, and you like draw out the electronic elements in the folk rock music that because I produced that way. Yeah, that's too long-winded of an answer, but like more depth, the better. So
Yeah. I feel like it's cool to like see the progression of like your like a person's style in music and how they grow and like release different stuff. I'm thinking like recently, and I mentioned this before, like Current Joys put out an album recently, like last year.
mm,
And it was like really like SoundCloud rappy. Like
I
it was
didn't know.
like it was like nothing he's ever done before. And a lot of people hated it, but I kind of liked it. I was like, this is really good. It felt like Lil Tracy and like,
Oh, whoa.
Lil Tracy vibes.
That's sick. Well, I'll listen to that.
Um, like you can definitely hear that inspiration, and it's not like, it's like popular songs like Blondie and Kids and stuff like that.
Totally.
And I kind of liked it because I kind of fell off with the last album. I was like, I don't really like this, but um, I'm still gonna listen.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel like reinventing yourself is cool.
yeah, but I can also see the flip side because then, like, if you're releasing under different names, like people find them and they're like, oh, I love this, and they can just like stay and listen to that. But then they can also discover your other stuff and be like, oh, this is different, and not really complain as much.
Yeah, this is true. I think people we sometimes give people too short of a leash on like
Hmm.
when they're in the thick of their careers and like releasing music, trying to try something new. Like sometimes we give people like a 2 or 3 year span to like
Hmm.
make the fucking record of all time. And I think like sometimes it takes a couple albums that suck and then someone goes ahead and releases like their opus, but they had to like try a bunch of stuff in between. Like I'm I'm for giving people more time to
Yeah,
fuck up.
that's what I think so too. Because like, um, I feel like artists that are small and then have like one song blow up and then like they have all this like media attention and there's like all this pressure to release something really good with their next like project. Like that's a lot of pressure. And sometimes I feel like when I'm listening, it feels like they were trying to like recreate what they had with like their first thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard. So I feel like that first release is going to be really hard, but the next one, it's like be able to have time and like not as much pressure to release something.
Yeah, I mean that is the like that's the bane of our existence in the
Yeah.
modern music thing is like I can't imagine what it would have been like if I had put out like my first song and then it blew up. I'd be like, well, shit, I got to make that song. I mean, I actually did kind of fall into that. Uh, for like I put out the first song in like 3 years in like I mean that's probably not true. I don't even know how long, but it felt like that with Medium Demons, which was with Ben it,
Mhm.
and that was in like 2022. And I was like, and then it started to like it was like it did better than anything that had happened before. So I was like, okay, I have to make 5 songs that are similar to that. And I
Mhm.
think that that was like, oh fuck, it was terrible. That's like the worst feeling of all time. So I'm glad that I have been, you know, I've given myself I don't even know what it would be. I haven't been that successful so that I can just like make a ton more music and like now I know what I want to put out so, rather than having to try and recreate something.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes it's scary, especially like when you're creating music sometimes and like you're in this bubble and you know people that listen to you. And then like when it gets a little bit outside of that, you're like, oh, there are new people coming in. And it's kind of like a scary thing.
Yeah, totally. I mean, just releasing music in general is like you're putting yourself out there so hard,
Yeah.
you
It's like
know?
bare your soul.
It's so terrible. One of the worst things.
But then you do it and then you're like, okay, it's fine. Or do you
Yeah.
still feel a way about it?
I definitely don't feel great. Like I think like yeah, I don't know. I think I need to start playing live again and then it will feel better.
Hmm.
Because when everything is just connected to like metrics and that's the only way to know if you're like if people are connecting with your music, you
Hmm.
know, I think that that is a little scary. And
Yeah.
also like I just get so like OCD that it like really ruins my life just like trying to finish something, which is why I'm very proud of myself that I put out this last thing because it just was like it's there. You know, there's no I wasn't able to like put a caveat on it. It's just like fuck it.
Hmm.
So I think I don't know. I definitely do not I don't love releasing music, but I do love making it and finishing it.
Yeah. Do you think the people around you help with the creative process kind of and help you? Because I feel like if you're really type A about what your music is, you keep on wanting to tweak it and be like, it's not done yet. Do you think people around you help you be like, yeah, this is good? Like, stop messing with it and things like that?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, people in my life have been like super like I don't know if I would be I don't really know. I don't know what I would be doing if I didn't have like specific people in my life that were like, okay, your music sounds good. You know, like you should pursue it. Like Garrett in specific, this is sappy, but the fucker has like single-handedly for both myself and other people, like made sure that if he believes in you, like he'll let you know. And like I think there was a time where I was feeling like when I was living in LA, which was like 2021, 2022, where I had made a couple songs and uh I just didn't like I had zero direction and I had like this notes file that was like every demo I ever made I put in the notes file and he would just like on random days like go through and then text me lyrics from one song that was deep ass in the notes file. He's like, this is great, like let's go work on this, like come over, we'll do it. um so and I've seen now like now I live with him in New York, but like I see him do that with other people too. um so shout out to him. He is definitely probably the main reason why this EP even came out.
Cool. And what are the two names Garrett's under again? I forget.
Right now it's Postcard Boy was the last album he put out, and then Car Wash is the other project. But he also is in an emo band now called Holidays in the United States.
Hmm.
Um, they just played their first show a couple days ago. And then we're starting a new band, which is called Spool of Thread, because we had like a couple of songs that we had written together, and we have like photo booth video of us making them. But at some point, we're gonna record that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, very prolific guy. I don't know what I'm gonna like. I hope he doesn't hear that because I don't want to like have him. We can leave it in, but I don't like to be sappy with him. I don't think I don't want him to hear that I complimented him online. Fuck that guy.
Um, and so you recently graduated. Do you think that helps you now or like hurts with like making music since you do have a full-time job?
I mean, it definitely feels good to be done with college. That was yeah, it's just crazy how much of a time suck that was. Um, but I like to learn, so I wasn't like super anti. But yeah, I think I can make music a lot easier. But I think also, as you had said earlier, like just having coming home and feeling really tired and like I just want to watch TV when I get home, like
Mhm.
that can be difficult. But uh, yeah, I definitely feel like I have more time to make music now.
And so you live in New York now. Do you think New York differs from any like other music scenes that you've been a part of and like the places you've lived?
Yes, definitely cliche, but like LA is atrocious. Um, very much like more welcoming here, more something going on at all times, a lot of different genres of music. Like I feel like the music I make, I feel a lot more inclined to hear than I do to LA. Um, obviously I have a lot of friends who live in LA and I don't think that what they do is terrible, but I just feel like here is like yeah, a lot more welcoming and like a lot more akin to like San Jose or like even like Philly.
Hmm.
Like obviously there's not a huge like band scene here. Um, I feel like it. I mean, what do you think about that? Like, I think Philly is like the most band sceney place of all time. I think here there's a lot of solo acts or like groups, definitely some bands, but like not so much on like the scene, like band
Yeah.
scene. You know what I'm saying?
Like if Philly has a lot going on and it's like really cool and interesting to see like all the stuff that's happening there. But yeah, I would agree. I feel like sometimes though in New York and like just in general, it's easier to be a solo project without a band because there's so many elements to getting the live project um, out there. And if you're opening, you're not getting paid that much. So it's like, do you want to split like $250 between five people and like you're basically making no money? Or do you want to start off solo, kind of grow from there, and then like maybe grow into having a full band?
Yeah, totally. Which sucks because the full band is so cool. And
Yeah.
like also for most of the music, like most music is enhanced by a full band.
Hmm. And
Even yeah.
I think it's sometimes I don't know, harder for like solo acts that start to try and have a band because sometimes I feel like it hasn't come together yet. They don't know how to like fuse the solo part with a band yet, like the electronic part or whatever vibe they have going on.
Yeah, totally. I mean, also a lot of people just haven't played live ever,
Yeah.
given that like, pandemic, if I can say it out loud. Like I feel like that is a lot of people just ended up doing well during the pandemic and then are expected to like play a live show and they're like, okay, well, how do I even do that? I think
Yeah.
that was like a really weird transitional process for a lot of people.
Yeah. I feel it's scary playing live also. I don't play any instruments. I just like music. I don't know if I could ever play in front of people. That would be scary. Um, yeah. And I
Yeah, yeah, it's scary.
and I think I don't know. It takes a lot of guts to do that. I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah. I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, I've probably like that's probably an excuse. Like I definitely do have not performed live in a while for that reason.
Yeah, especially when you're starting out and there's barely anyone there.
Brutal.
It's so brutal, but you still play. You know, you have to play like there's 100 people there.
Yeah. I mean, I've only played live like under 10 times in my life.
Hmm.
We played it like I had house shows at the house that I lived in LA um and those were surprisingly packed at times, so
Hmm.
but I definitely know that when I start playing out here, it's gonna be like not a ton of people there, you know? So it's like how do you keep the mental fortitude to be like, I'm just gonna play my heart out to like this tiny group and just like know that by virtue of me doing that, it'll in increase
Yeah,
the amount of people that are there just like crazy.
yeah. It'll like it'll improve the confidence, you know? Because I feel like if you can confidently perform in front of no one, then you can confidently perform in front of a lot of people. And then so for your EP, how do you think your brand or like visual rollout for this album started?
Um, well, I directed music videos since I was pretty young for other people,
Mhm.
and like I it's the same thing about the label. Like I think part of the reason why I had a hard time doing stuff for other people is because I would always have a bunch of ideas that I would want to do, and like obviously you're just caught in the thread of like what other people's creative vision are for their own stuff. So along the way, I kind of would just always throw stuff in my back pocket of like, okay, when I actually go full steam on my own music, like this is what I want to do, or like visually I have this idea, etc. So I think like for this one, like when I was editing all the music videos or like animating stuff, I just would keep those in mind. But a lot of the ideas were kind of just like um spur of the moment stuff. Like the Harmony video was uh I knew I had gone up to visit my family in Maine, and like there were a bunch of my cousins who were like ranging from like 2 to 12, and I was like it'd be really cool to like get like kind of a home video type thing of all them at this stage of their lives and just have that as like a time capsule. And then like we brought up like these paper mache heads that I had kind of like made a motif through the record and like just filmed a bunch of stuff. And then when I got home, I just like pulled a edit job for like six, however many weeks and just got it out. That was my favorite video. Counting Western Preference was interesting too. Just like full locked on like face up close performance shot for the entire video. I thought it was like cool to hold someone's attention while just like only having like one element, one frame going. Uh, what else? The Word Is You video. I didn't put that on YouTube, but that's on Instagram. It's like I just like animated a bunch of stuff. I just want okay, I feel like honestly, the main thing was just like, how can I like learn something new with every video? Just like using it as an excuse to like learn how to animate or like stop motion or learn how to edit on DaVinci Resolve or like whatever.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's
That's great. So who are some of the bands that are upcoming now that are some of your favorites?
I feel like just now. Like I don't think I listened to a lot of very like modern stuff up until very recently. Like I think like it's actually cool that there's bands that I'm a fan of that are now,
Hmm.
which I don't think I could have said that a while back. Like Chanel Bees, of course, you know, Shane, Maya, Zach played strings on this whole EP. Um, I think they're really good. Seen them live many times. They're great. Uh, in the theme of the playlist that I chose, this guy Ghost Orchard is
Yeah.
like really cool. Um, also like super visually interesting, like knows what he's doing. Gary is making good music. Garrett with whatever he's gonna do next. I don't know what he's gonna do next. Collie is so good. Uh, my friend Collie, he makes music under the name Super Fan. Um, super raw singer-songwriter, just like yeah, great. He started playing New York shows, which is great. He just moved here. And hmm. Oh, Quiet Light, really good. I've been helping her with press and stuff, but she's like ambient folk. Um,
I live here, Texas, or
yeah, she lives in Austin, but she goes to med school in Boston. I
Mhm.
like met her through a mutual friend last year, and then like all all of my friends were just like super hyped on her, like you know, and yeah, she makes great music, and like I feel like also one of those people that just like super prolific, like just makes hella. She released under a side project for a while called Blue Angel Sparkling Silver,
Mhm.
and then like ended up releasing that whole project on the Quiet Light page, um, which was pretty inspiring to like for me to do the Mismatches project because then all that music started going for her, and it's like the most left of center stuff possible. Like it's just like ambient voice memo esque collage music.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, she's sick.
Yeah, I think it's crazy, like making music, going to med school. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she knows what she's doing as much as she, you know, yeah, she's got it. I love that though. I think like all the people I've mentioned are just like doing it and like I think sometimes it's easy to feel like, oh my God, I have no idea what I'm doing. You know,
Mhm.
like, and I'm sure every single person who makes music outside of people who are like complete narcissists are like, there's an element of just like, oh fuck, I have no idea where or what direction this is going in, or is my music gonna do well? And like, I think it's like super cool to see when people get to a point where they're like, everything is firing on all cylinders and they feel really confident about themselves and like the music shows for that. Like when someone finds their sound. Like I
Mhm.
just love that.
Yeah. It also just proves people are multifaceted, do hold many hats, which is crazy to think about. So,
Yeah, totally.
okay, so you mentioned your playlist, so you can get into it a little bit. For your theme, you chose Folktronica, which is cool and interesting because I've always wanted to put a name to like music like this. I'm not a person that's interested in defining a genre because I'm like, if I define it, someone else is gonna say it's this, and then someone else is gonna say it's that. So I'm like, whatever. I'm a generalizer. I'm like, this is rock music. This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
pop
Which
music.
is good. That's good. Guitar, like that's why I say guitar music. Like
Hmm.
guitar music could be whatever, but it's just like I think maybe defining stuff by its elements is like a nice way. But I think also just from like a musicologist standpoint, like it is cool to like put a spotlight on a certain like whatever grouping of artists and then try and like spiderweb connect them all with like the elements that they use.
Hmm.
So yeah, I feel that. I'm anti-genre name, but I think it's also cool from like a conceptual standpoint. Just be like, this is Folktronica. What is it? You know, like
Yeah.
I don't know how you structure this type of thing, but we can just dive right into it.
Yeah. So what are some of your favorite picks off of this playlist?
I mean, they're all really good. I have like this way bigger playlist called A Life Around the Clock that I add to like every day. And so I just went through that and like picked off all the ones that I felt like could fit best into this. Um, Oh Mexico by Dosh.
Hmm.
Um, he's this older fella named Martin Dosh, uh, who my friend Brendan Toy Bear is his artist name put me onto, and it's like very traditional folktronica. Like I think I love when I find a record. The album that's from is called The Lost Take, which is a
Hmm.
2006 album. Um, which I feel like is the heyday of this genre of music. Like, but just small online. When you find it, it's like was such a grail. Like, yeah, just sample heavy. Like, um, a lot of acoustic guitar riffs and like instrumental track. Uh, Definitely a great song. What else? Suddenly is Sooner Than You Think by Dintel. Jimmy Tamborello is like one of my heroes. He's one half of the Postal Service. But this is like the main project of his that he did throughout, and like this was like the one of the bigger albums for him. Um, a Ghost Orchard track on there right underneath. Uh, like damn, they're all good. Caribou, I feel like the main like people in Folktronica at a certain point in time were like it was like the Forte Hands album and even like Tycho at some point. Um, I would lump um Bibio, which is like track 21, Ren Tales, is a really good song that was in that early era. I Am Robot and Proud, classic artist from that. Um, and then like of course like Boards of Canada. Uh, but yeah, all stuff that just like is like IDM with American folk music
Hmm.
lodged in it.
Yeah, and then have you listened to the new Mount Kimby album?
So good.
Yeah, amazing. I kind of just got into them mainly because of Chanel Beats because they're opening for Mount
Yeah.
Kimby on a bunch of on a bunch of dates.
Yeah, like all the North American days, which is so fucking crazy.
Yeah. Everyone's like, this is so sick. And I'm like, I don't know who this is. Let me go check it out.
That's cool though. I love that when I find something that everyone is like, you should have already known this. And then I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's really great.
That happened with Greg Freeman.
Mm.
I'm like obsessed with them now. I'm
Yeah,
like,
Greg Freeman is sick.
I saw them at South by and then I just became a super fan. I'm like, this is so sick.
Yeah, I really like Jason Molina and Songs Ohio, and I feel like he is derivative of that and not in a bad way. But like I love like a resurgence of like that.
Yeah, I think a lot of I tend to like go when I'm getting new music recs, I'm like looking through Spotify and like looking through all of this other stuff. But recently I've been actually looking at what people post. Like when they post songs and things, I'm like actually looking at what they're listening to because I feel like a lot of the people I follow have good music taste. So I'm like, let me check this out. Recently, like Millie said that they were opening for this band Chatterton and another one, I think it's Blimp. And I listened to both of them and I was like, okay, this is amazing. And because of that, Chatterton was like doing an album release. So they released an album that Friday and it's like a really, really good album.
I feel like I know that. That sounds super familiar. I'll check it out.
Yeah. But I think it's fun, like taking music recs from people I know and just being like, okay, this is good.
I mean, yeah, that's like the I love being a curator. Like, I know no one gives a fuck. Like, I promote my playlist so hard, even harder than I promote my own music, because it's like I would love to tell you about my taste in music at all points in time, and like it's so self-serving to just be like, dude, I have great music taste. Like that's so stupid, but also yeah, I'm like I make an effort to just like try and keep the playlist grind going and like
Yeah, same. I like started a Substack, so I'm like doing monthly playlists of like all of the stuff that I listen to and kind of like favorite things that I've done for like the month, like shows I've gone to or um movies I've watched. And it's funny because it's just like it's an echo chamber. And I like putting things out without thinking about people listening to things. Like even the podcast, I'm like, I don't assume anyone's listening. And it becomes scary when you find out people are listening. You're like, oh, that's scary a little bit.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's sick. I gotta read your Substack.
It's not that interesting. Um, but yeah, I love that Police Scanner is on here by Chanel Beats.
Yeah, I don't know if Shane would say that if he makes like Folktronica, but
Mhm.
like a few song like a few songs on this playlist I think fall outside the realm and go into like freak folk
Mhm.
or something like that or like psychedelic hypnagogic pop, which I think is like really big right now in New York or elsewhere, like Animal Collective, Merriweather Post Pavilion is like a big hypnagogic pop album in my mind, and like I chose In the Flowers from that. Also Feels by Animal Collective, that album. I picked Banshee Beat off it because both of those are like songs that use drum machines throughout the whole thing and like sound pretty sample heavy, and they do a lot of like weird vocal production, but like it's this also got an acoustic guitar in it, and like I don't see why that isn't like that's an electronic song,
Mhm.
you know, as much as it's like uh it sounds really bandy and like texturally or I'm like trying not to overuse the same words. Like yeah, songs that sound really live,
Mhm.
but like are secretly electronic songs. Those are my favorite songs.
Yeah. And then also Sylvan Elso, like the coffee song. I remember listening to that in high school and being like obsessed with it.
Yeah, I mean that they're so fucking good. I kind of that was like their big hit, right? And then like I
Mhm.
kind of just forgot about it. But then randomly the person who manages Wednesday,
Mhm.
Rusty, also manages Sylvanesso. So I had like got back into them through that and like their album No Rules Sandy in 2022 is like the track I didn't put this on there, but this song How Did You Know is
Mhm.
like one of the craziest songs ever. That was like main inspo for The Word Is You off my EP.
Yeah, I think it's because Sylvan Elso lives in North Carolina now, or they're
Oh,
from there. Um,
hmm.
yeah, because I remember I'm from South Carolina, but I go to shows sometimes in North Carolina. And I went to like a festival there, and Sylvan Esso, they kind of have, I think they have a label, and they put together a festival of like North Carolina artists, and they were on it. And then their
Sick.
side project, Mountain Man, was there too. It's pretty cool. So I
That
think it's probably like the tie there because also Wednesday is from North Carolina,
yeah.
Asheville area.
Asheville bands.
Yeah. It's crazy. I think Asheville and like Burlington, Vermont have similar music that is being made there. And it just,
Is that the one that when Spotify
yeah, it was when Spotify was like Burlington, Vermont. And I kind of agree now because Greg Freeman is from there. Lily Seabird is from
from
there.
Burlington or
Yeah,
Asheville?
Burlington, Vermont.
Oh, yeah,
And
what a
there's
random
some
place.
other bands too. And I'm like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I hope that's not blasphemous that I just said what a random place. I just never heard of Burlington, Vermont.
Yeah. And then when yeah, I think a lot of these songs I listened to when I was like younger, like Mid-Air Thief. Is,
Midair Thief is the number one Folktronica record on rateyourmusic.com. That uh Crumbling,
Mhm.
Curve and Light is like one of my favorite songs ever. I mean, just what a cool project. That is the Folktronica album, I feel like.
Yeah.
And then everything else works back from that. Like even though it came a lot later in the history of that, like 2018 is pretty late, but like I think that that is the genre definer, and then you can kind of like mix and match, you
Yeah.
know? It's like what it's Korean, right? South Korean guy person that just like not like completely anonymous online, but like making the
Yeah.
craziest music ever. Like that. I think when I found Midair Thief, I was just like blown away.
Yeah. I think there's this band Paranormal that also is completely anonymous.
Oh, they're anonymous? I didn't know that.
I think so. Or maybe
I
they've
love
come out
Paramore.
of anonymousness.
No, no, I don't know. That's
I
I remember listening to that
think
album.
that's kind of cool and interesting, especially when you blow up. It's like, do you just make music and nothing else? Also, I think so many people are making cool music, like this band, not band, but artist Flying Fish.
Mm.
They make really amazing music and they're 15. I'm like, that's crazy.
That was like hyperpop when like hyperpop was coming out. I mean, like I was just like, dude, what is going on? Obviously now I don't care, but like back then it was so crazy.
Yeah, they're 15. Like when I last checked, they had like 318,000 monthly listeners. Now it's almost at a million, which is crazy.
Whoa, wait, let me check this.
And they're so young. So it's like, what is there to do with all of that?
Yeah, Internet Shoegaze. Oh, they're from Phoenix.
Hmm.
Phoenix bands. Uh, yeah, let me see any other on those on that playlist that I should like give a quick shout out to. Um, Masakatsu Takagi is this Japanese composer. Um, that is, I put Uharu and this one that has a long title. It's like Nurse Them, Make a Fire, Feed Yourself or something. I found that last year. That's like I thought I just checked the release date. It said November 19th, 2014. I thought it said 2024.
You were like, oh,
Yeah, I've been listening to that a lot. That's like such a cool album. Um, Nala Sinefro, Space. Uh, shit. Bonnie Bear, Lump
yeah.
Sum.
I think I love thinking about Bonnie Bear because I just learned the pronunciation like 2 years ago. I feel like I never said it out loud, which is like good, but I was just like, wow, that would have been so embarrassing. Bon Iver in my
Bon
head.
Iver. I mean, I probably did it too at some point.
But yeah, how do you think this genre, like folktronica, influences you and your music?
I would love to make this style of music. I've like sat down and tried, like maybe I do make it. I don't even know.
Hmm.
I think there's certain times when I make that style of music. Like I just think in my head I'm not whenever I get closer to like I use a ton of synths in my music and I like have obviously like taken specific synths that I've bought from just like being a fan of artists in the genre. Like I have a SH-101, like I saw someone using a grandmother, I bought a grandmother. I have like a few drum machines, but like I don't use a ton of samples in my music. Like I think I try and do everything my like not that it's any better, but like I just end up making a lot of music myself.
Hmm.
But I think a lot of the music, a lot of the key to Folktronica is like at least having some element of like it sounds like it's been through like a SP404 or 808 or whatever, or not 808. But yeah, like I use a lot of like ambient pads in my music. I use a lot of like programmed drums and like the thing that I said about like having something be kind of band soundy, but on the inside it's an electronic song. I think that's like and just like throwing synths and throwing electronic production into a folk rock song or a folk rock arrangement is like a really way to like cool way to add depth and make it more something more interesting.
I think there's like a lot of interesting thing with people mixing electronic music into like rock and like we're talking about now like folk electronica because I'm thinking, you know, Mandy Indiana, obviously Chanel Beats, model actress
Auto
of the
actress, yeah.
band. And I never really clocked that because I don't consider myself um someone that is like into electronic music like that. But it's cool to see. And then also, I mean, we brought up Alex G, but like also Alex G's last album, I feel like is very much that.
Yeah,
Um,
he's been making electronic music for a long time. Like
yeah.
I like the thing with Alex G and like the reason why I said it was like he who will not be named is because like that's such like a touch point for people now where I feel like it's become a little bit of a cliche to listen to Alex G, but like honestly, the dude is like so like I think the confines that people place on him where they're like this is a at some point in his career it was like this is a Elliott Smith ripoff or like
Mhm.
it's just super derivative of like 90s alternative rock and like I think at many times in his discography he's like really set himself apart. Like Beach Music has a ton of experimental electronic tracks on it that someone like Elliott Smith would never do.
Mhm.
Uh, the last record, as you said, super hi-fi and interesting, like a ton of electronic productions that is like, yeah, just great. Like he's a modern musician. I don't think anyone can at this point in his life be like, oh yeah, he's a Elliott Smith ripoff.
Yeah. And sometimes I think so many people are focused on doing something new. It's like if you're really good at making this kind of music and you're inspired by someone, and like you can see that it's just not like they're trying to, just emulate and copy consistently. They're just like really good at making that type of music. You can see that, and you can see that in Alex G.
Yeah, totally. I mean, talk about like just a really talented songwriter too, and like yeah, he's an inspirational person.
Do you have any current artists that are coming up in the genre that you oh,
Um, the okay, so this guy Toy Bear, my friend Brendan, has not put out music yet, but I've been helping him with his album, and it is like the closest to this outside of Ghost Orchard that I think like he's like actively trying to make this genre of music, and um, yeah, he's really cool. So I'm really excited for his album to come out. Um, But other than that, like I hope that I at some point am gonna start making more like direct, like maybe this next album I'll like be more direct with making a Folktronica song or like a few of them and like see what happens.
Mhm.
But I think a lot of these artists that are on here, like Max Cooper is not a Folktronica artist whatsoever, but like a textural IDM person
Mhm.
and like very like uh computery electronic music. But like I think he's really cool. Like this came out pretty recently. His last album, Sem, which is 2024. I love that album. And AG Cook has strayed away from making this style of music. I think he did it on 7G a lot and now is like really like focused on furthering like whatever his style of music is. So
Yeah.
I didn't listen to the last Lost and Malone record, did you?
No, I haven't.
I hope I will listen to it because I know that that 2020 album, which is like the super long thing that starts with V, like that is a really that's like Folktronica X hip hop. Is it hip hop even? Like
Oh,
rapping. But that's a really cool album. So I will go listen to Sloss and Malone and see if he is still drawing elements from the genre.
yeah.
I'm sure
Um,
there's a ton more people. I just feel like number one, Flanoffy
mhm.
is he is I found him when he was doing the like Ape School collaboration a while back. It was the album Haven't Heard That Voice in Days and also the one before that, The Knees Start to Go, which is like 2021 and 2022 or 20 both 2021. But he is like guitar wizard that just like has figured out like talk about someone who has like gotten to that point in his sound where it's just like perfect. Like I would I rinse every Flanoffy record. Like he's great.
Yeah, I think someone's told me to listen to them, but I haven't gotten into it yet. So I
Yeah,
think
definitely
so.
check it out.
Is there anything that you want to plug or have?
I mean, I guess I just put out that thing.
Mhm.
That'd be cool to plug. I mean, hopefully Orange Label stuff before like we're gonna continue to do a lot of stuff like new videos and like always trying to like collaborate with more people there. So I'm hoping that this year, once I get a handle on my life and my music, that I will uh have more announcements on that front. But yeah, plugging plugging the EP that came out, plugging the mismatches scores and demos project. And I think I've shouted out a few people throughout the episode, so check out those fuckers.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Tope. You're awesome.